A single jump start done in the wrong order can fry an electronic control module that costs between $800 and $2,500 to replace, depending on the vehicle. On a 2018 or newer Ford F-150, that number climbs past $3,000 with labor. And the worst part, the damage doesn't always show up immediately. Your car starts, you drive away thinking everything is fine, and 2 weeks later, your check engine light comes on with a code that traces straight back to that morning in the parking lot. Jump-starting a car seems like the most basic thing a driver should know, but the procedure most people follow, the one they half remember from their dad or a 2-minute video they watched once, skips critical steps that didn't matter on cars built in 1995, but absolutely matter on anything rolling off the lot in the last decade. This is the full picture, including the parts nobody tells you. Cable order is not a suggestion. Most people connect cables in whatever order feels logical. Red to dead, red to good, black to good, black to dead. That's close, but the last connection is exactly where most drivers make the mistake that matters. The final black clamp should never go on the dead battery's negative terminal. It goes on an unpainted metal surface on the engine block or a grounding bolt away from the battery. The reason is simple physics. When you complete that circuit, there's a small spark. Batteries off-gas hydrogen, especially if they've been sitting dead for hours. That spark next to a venting battery is a legitimate explosion risk. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has documented cases of battery casings cracking from exactly this. Connect that last clamp 12 to 18 inches from the battery on bare metal and you eliminate the risk entirely. Voltage spikes kill modern electronics, but here's where it gets more expensive. On vehicles built before roughly 2005, a jump start was mostly just about raw cranking power. Modern cars are different. A 2020 Toyota Camry has over 40 electronic control units managing everything from fuel injection timing to transmission shift points. When you connect a good battery to a dead system, the initial voltage surge can spike to 16 or 17 volts for a fraction of a second. Most automotive electronics are rated to handle up to 16 volts. That spike rides straight through the electrical system. The components most vulnerable are the ECM, the body control module, and the infotainment head unit. Replacing the ECM alone on a 2019 through 2024 Honda CR-V runs around $1,200 for the part, plus $150 to $300 for programming and labor. And here's the part dealerships won't volunteer. This type of damage is almost never covered under your factory powertrain warranty because it's classified as owner-caused electrical damage.
The donor vehicle matters more than you think.
And this next one is something almost every car owner does without realizing it. When you jumpstart a dead 4-cylinder sedan using a running full-size truck, the voltage output from that truck's alternator, typically putting out 14.2 to 14.7 volts under load, floods into the smaller car's system faster than its voltage regulator can manage. The safest way to jumpstart any modern vehicle is with the donor car turned off. Let the donor battery alone provide the charge. A healthy 12-volt battery sitting at 12.6 volts provides a much gentler charge than a running alternator actively pushing 14+ volts. Start the dead car, then immediately disconnect. If the dead battery is so depleted that a donor battery alone won't turn it over, let the cables sit connected with the donor off for 8 to 10 minutes. That slow trickle gives the dead battery enough surface charge to crank without blasting the system with alternator voltage.
Battery age changes everything about this process. Now, this one is going to contradict what most mechanics tell you. If your battery is more than 4 years old and it dies, jump-starting it and driving away is not fixing the problem, it's masking it. A lead-acid battery that has been fully discharged below 10.5 volts suffers permanent sulfation on the lead plates within 24 to 48 hours. Even after a successful jump and a 30-minute drive, that battery is now operating at roughly 60 to 70% of its original capacity. It will die again, probably within 2 weeks if you're making mostly short trips under 15 minutes. The smart move after any jump start is to drive straight to an auto parts store. AutoZone, O'Reilly, Advance, and ask for a conductance test, not just a voltage check. A voltage check tells you what the battery is reading right now. A conductance test tells you how much capacity is actually left. That test is free at every major chain. If the conductance reading is below 65% of rated CCA, that battery is done, regardless of whether it starts your car this morning. Portable jump packs are not all equal. The next point is the one that surprises people the most. Lithium-ion jump packs, the compact ones you see everywhere for $60 to $120, are genuinely the safer option for modern cars because they deliver a controlled amperage without the alternator voltage problem. But not all of them can actually start your engine. The number that matters is peak amps, and you need to match it to your engine. A 4-cylinder engine like the one in a Honda Civic or Toyota Corolla needs a pack rated for at least 700 peak amps. A V6 like the one in a Toyota Highlander or Chevy Traverse needs 1,000 plus. A V8 truck or a diesel, you're looking at 1,500 minimum, and many of the packs under $100 don't come close. Check the rating on the box, not the marketing claim. Some brands advertise up to 2,000 amps, but bury the actual continuous output in fine print at 400. A pack that can't deliver enough amps won't damage anything, but it also won't start your car, and you'll drain the pack trying. The post-jump idle myth. Ever had someone tell you to let the car idle for 20 minutes after a jump? That advice was outdated by 2010. At idle, most alternators produce only 40 to 60 amps. Recovering a dead battery requires sustained output above 80 amps for at least 30 minutes. You get that by driving at highway speeds, not idling in a parking lot. Sitting at idle after a jump start on a modern car with automatic headlights, climate control, and an infotainment screen drawing power means your alternator is barely breaking even. Drive the car for 30 minutes above 40 miles per hour. That's the actual recharge threshold. And if you're doing this in a vehicle with start-stop technology, most 2018 and newer models from Ford, GM, BMW, and Mercedes disable the auto stop feature during that drive. Every restart cycle pulls amps from a battery that's already struggling. That parking lot jump start that seems like a 5-minute fix can quietly create an $800 to $3,000 repair if the process sends a voltage spike through your car's control modules. The procedure matters more now than it ever has. Here's the one thing to do today. Open your glove box or your phone and save this connection order. Red to dead positive, red to donor positive, black to donor negative, black to bare metal on the dead car's engine block away from the battery. Disconnect in exact reverse. That sequence alone eliminates the two most common causes of jump start electrical damage. If this kept you from a repair bill you didn't see coming, you know what to do.